Yellow, ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to expand our wither cage usage and make wither blast chambers. Let's get to it. So why would you want a wither blast chamber? You figure, why not just use TNT, right? You most definitely can. In all applications except for the lava obsidian farm that I showed in my previous video, you can absolutely use a TNT blast chamber. And if you are on a server or a single player that has no problem with TNT duping, then by all means, that's going to be your best option. In fact, most of the machines and the farms that I design go ahead and use TNT duping because I see it as something that the Mojang devs have said that they want to leave in the game until they can come up with another viable option. So to me, it's a game mechanic and not a bug. But I have gotten some comments before about, well, what about if we can't do TNT duping? Some people play on a server that maybe it's a paper. I can't say it. It's babe, can you come say this for me? You may play on a
paper server
that disables TNT duping, and you need just some way to make a blast chamber for some of the different farms. So I have a bunch of examples set up here, and we're going to look at those and then how you would actually get this set up. As always, there will be a world download in the video description, so you can download this world and come check out these machines for yourself. You're going to get dropped right over this island, so we've got one over here, then there are several floating in the air right up there. But let's first talk about what we can use this for. We could use this to do a cobblestone farm that generates cobblestone for us and then breaks it using the wither. We could do a concrete converter, something that converts our powder into concrete and then breaks it for us. A tree farm, if we feed the logs into there, then we don't have to use TNT to blow it up. If we want to do dirt to mud converter that doesn't use TNT. You did your big mining project, you got a bunch of deep slate that is now useless because you were mining with your silk touch and you want to convert it to cobbled deep slate so you can build with it. Maybe you got yourself a Sculk farm set up and you want to convert that into an XP farm. So if you blow up Sculk with TNT, it does not drop any experience. But if we use the wither, that actually does drop experience so that you could feed it back to the player. What we saw in the last video was using it to farm lava that's being turned into obsidian because the wither can break obsidian. And then other farms, like you could feed a mushroom farm into it or a basalt farm. I have not included those in the examples here that we're going to go over, but we're going to go over these ones here. We're going to use the end gateway wither cage because it is a way to use bedrock to contain the wither where you don't have to search for a very specific layout of bedrock or break any bedrock in order to use it. So those other servers we talked about, if they're disabling TNT duping, they're most likely disabling bedrock breaking. This does not require any bedrock breaking. All we need to do is find an end gateway and then just get rid of that portal in the center. First thing we need is our dirt, our mushroom, and our bone meal. We're going to put down our dirt here at this kind of diagonal from that corner of this portal. So I'll just stop right here. You can see a screenshot of that. So we just have that one block diagonal there. Plant your mushroom and then bone meal it. What's going to happen is the side is going to grow up and go right through that portal. So when you break it away, now you've got the portal gone and it's ready to contain a wither. Next thing we want to do is we want to set up our golem in a little cage so that we can have him take the aggro of the wither so that we can safely work around him. You're going to come down 4 blocks from one of these outcroppings. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then over 6 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Put down your obsidian, trapdoor, get a temporary block, and then a piece of obsidian. You want that obsidian to be on the side facing the wither. We're going to use that to make sure the golem stays pushed towards the back. And then we're going to put 3 chains surrounding this. So chain facing that way, chain facing that way, chain facing that way. We can get rid of these ones if you want because now those are just extra. And then we got to get our golem in here. So what I like to do is just kind of build this off to the side. So we're going to build that little temporary L structure there, put a piston there, and instead put my chain there. Same thing on this side, little L structure, piston. I mean, obviously you don't need the temporary blocks if you're going to use like Tweakaroo or something to place these pistons. And then I'm going to put buttons on each of these, place a couple more temporary blocks on each side of the back chain, and then each side of the obsidian. Otherwise, he's going to spot one of these Endermen and try and wander out. And then we'll build him just like that because we have to have these chains out of the way. If they're under his arms, he won't actually spawn then. So now he's spawned in. We can push in our chains. We can make sure that we push back against him so he's behind that obsidian. If I turn on his hitbox, he's now trapped inside of there. And then I can break away all my temporary blocks. And now he's trapped in there. Now, it doesn't matter if the golem gets aggroed onto an Enderman. You can see his blue line. He's just staring at that Enderman. He wants a piece of that. But it does matter if our wither would get aggroed onto one of them. So next thing we need to do, we can take this out. What we either need to do is light up the area. You can do that with your mini HUD light level overlay and just go around these islands and make sure that it's lit up. However, we need to make sure that we're lighting up the entire area of the despawn sphere so we don't get anything over here, because they may spawn over there, but they can still teleport over here. So what I like to do and what we've done in the world download over there is just flood the island. So you just come here with a couple of buckets of water and you can just kind of bucket over and over again until you flood the area. Now we don't have to worry about Enderman teleporting over and trying to steal that Wither's aggro. The other option would be to just spawn-proof your blast chamber area and dig away the entire island in 100. It's not worth it. That's not why we're here. But then moving on, we need to place a wall or a fence because we need that extra height that entities would sit on. So we can see if I turn hitboxes back on and I drop an item on top of that fence, we can see that's actually the height at which it's going to push entities, and that's exactly what we need for the alignment of the Wither, for his head to be right in the center here. And normally you would build the rest of your blast chamber around this before doing this. Your last step would be summoning the Wither, but then all we need to do is then summon our Wither with his tail on top of that fence or wall there. He's going to float up into position. We can see his hitbox is already in position, and he's going to be stuck there. He's going to aggro onto that golem. So if you're doing this in survival, make sure you're out of view of the Wither when you summon him. And then he's just going to keep shooting at that golem, but the skulls are going to keep hitting the bedrock. Now, like we covered in the snowball video or their lava farm video, those blocks in his area, except for the bedrock, he can actually break. When he thinks that he's taking damage, he's going to break those blocks. So if I hit him with a snowball here, we can see he broke those blocks. They all drop down in item form. What's really nice is that's not an explosion. That is just him breaking those blocks in that 3x3 pattern. So whatever we have built around here after the initial explosion of the Wither, we don't have to worry about what gets built around there. I have designed these blast chambers that we're going to show so that nothing gets blown up by the Wither's initial explosion, and then after that we don't have anything to worry about. So all we need to do is feed in the blocks we want broken, be able to hit him with a snowball automatically, let him break, and then collect those items. Now we do need to make sure we're not activating this too often, because if we just start spamming him with snowballs, eventually he's going to start letting blue skulls fly. We saw a couple of them up there by his side head, and we got lucky that they actually just hit that bedrock, but sometimes they can fly out. So we need to make sure that we hit this slow enough that he can't do that. So as long as we don't hit him too fast with snowballs, and he has that golem to aggro onto and shoot his black skulls at, he is not going to let out any blue skulls, so we don't have to worry about him destroying our stuff. I have left a functional gateway here so you can test out that breaking for yourself using the mushroom and not have to go find one. The rest of these I did construct using just bedrock and creative mode, but they are copied exactly from what this gateway would be like. So let's get to the designs. So I'm going to use bots to show these off so that we can just see what's happening while these work. But here is a concrete converter. So we have a waterlogged leaf block right next to where we're going to place the powder, and then it's going to push it in. We just added in enough delay here that what happens is this gets pushed in. We then batch into this 3x2 configuration so that we can feed it into the side. And then the reason I have this pushed so far back is what we don't want to happen. If you happen to do something where you come along and you actually break some redstone, something like that, you don't want this to actually push in underneath the Wither. So we have right here is push limit. So it'll stop pushing right here because we need to have that snowball that hits right here. We also have the golem on the other side of here that actually is generating that snow so we can get renewable snowballs to run the system with. And then I have added an item filter under here. The other designs we looked at did not have item filters because the items were far enough away we didn't have to worry about them flying in. However, in this case, since they're going to break all the way up here as loose items, some of them do have a chance to fly into this hopper. And then if they go into this dropper system, then when they get shot out, they don't actually damage the Wither, then the system stops and it breaks. So I have this item filter so that only snowballs will go in there, and anything else that does go in here gets shot back out in the water stream. Everything's collected in the water and it gets shot out. I do have two hoppers here because this can go up to 10,200 per hour. So we're a little over hopper speed there, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this on and we can actually see how this is working. So he's feeding in his concrete there. It's converting from the powder to the concrete. He's getting shot out new powder at him coming from this dropper each time it goes off. And we can see it's going to get pushed in. And every time he turns red is when he's getting hit with a snowball. And we see it break and fall down into the water and go off to collection. I did use obsidian around here. Like I said before, he can't actually break any blocks anymore now that he's actually been exposed already. But if, we just used a little bit of obsidian here just so it's more proof on the blast. And that also gives our redstone dust a little bit of protection because that has a really low blast radius. And so when we spawn the wither, we don't actually want to, blow away our redstone. So we just went ahead and used obsidian there. So I'm just going to kill this wither to show how we're going to actually summon him in this type of contraption. All we need to do is just break out enough blocks here to be able to get in. Note with the snow golem, you can see up in the top left of my screen there, his HP is at 404. He is going to take a point of damage when this guy summons, but we still got 3 damage to work with. So if this is something where you plan on, killing the wither when you leave the area because you just want to grab the nether star and you'll respawn him later, just note, after a couple of times, you're going to have to drop in a new golem from up top. All we need to do is make sure that we place that tail there, place his arms there, and then place down our heads. He's going to spawn, and then we can go ahead and just fill this back in, and then jump down so he can't see us anymore. You can see he's spawned. He ignored the snow golem because he can't see him. That snow golem is still there, but we see, again, up at the top left, HP 304, and he's aggroed onto that iron golem. Then we do have that snowball tower getting activated by when blocks get pushed into the chamber. So we have that observer detecting that blocks are getting pushed in. Then it sends an item up there. So when you start this up, you do need to make sure that you have a snowball up in this top dispenser, at least one snowball, just so that it can fire on the first instance. And then we've also just added a couple of torches around here just to make sure that it's still spawn proof. So like I said, with the water, we're making sure that it's teleport proof. And then if we don't have anything up here for them to spawn on, we don't have to worry about them. Now, I did say that this was 10,200 per hour. We could probably push that a little bit more, but you'll notice what's happening is we have a little bit of delay in between the time that the blocks are breaking and the time that the next blocks are pushed in. What we don't want is for those blocks to push in so fast that it ends up pushing items up and into this little area right here. We can't protect this area from items flying up because that will also get broken because it's in his 3x3. So we just give it a little bit of delay of when that's going to get pushed in so the items have enough time to fall down, and then we're ready to go. Once you're done looking at a concrete converter, if you fly up to the north, you can see some of the other designs we discussed. Here we have that Sculk XP I was talking about. It's not perfect because the XP flies around a lot more than the items do and it has a bigger hitbox. But we can see that when the wither actually breaks those Sculk blocks, it does drop the XP. We're dropping that just into the water, and then it's flowing along this water stream over here until it gets up to this water elevator right here. It's not actually a bubble vader because XP for some reason get pushed by a bubble vader, but it can float up the water then and float up to the player where the player can grab it. So you could build this, right next to maybe a Sculk XP farm. Maybe you wanted to use like a chicken farm to build your Sculk farm and feed the player Sculk blocks. Then you can build up XP that way. Do I think this is the best XP farm? No, not at all. But it gives you XP. Here we have a cobblestone farm using the blast chamber. So we just have 2 cobblestone generators, one below and one above, that push it into that 2x3 configuration. Then our blocks get pushed into the chamber. We have a little clock here that runs that. So it's just pushed up and over. Same thing. Our wither breaks it just fine. It always breaks 100% of those blocks in that 2x3. So we don't have to worry about, the fact that cobblestone has a high blast resistance because, again, it's not actually a blast. It's a break. Here we have a dirt to mud converter. So if you have a bunch of dirt and you want to get a bunch of mud for your build, maybe you want to make a bunch of mud bricks, or you want to use mud for the fact that it's not a full block and you want to have items or something fall into there, sit in there, whatever you want to do. This can convert dirt over to that. This is a simplified version of what I've done a previous video on of an easy converter. This is just using the fact that we're having in a steady stream come in. We use this dispenser right here to shoot out a water bottle into the dirt, which then turns it into an empty bottle, which we then take out of this item filter. And then we just use the process of that mud also coming back over it with an observer to then use this dispenser that has the empty bottles to shoot out into water so that they turn into water bottles. And as long as this is filled up, then it will just drop out the water bottle and that'll go back up this water stream right into that hopper and keep the system filled. And then same thing as we had with the concrete converter. We just have it pushing down into that 2x3 configuration, pushed into the wither blast chamber, and blown up. And then final thing to show, this is a modification of my birch tree farm that I had designed, the super easy tree farm. This gets a little bit more complicated and doesn't have the same call of saving the resources that it did before, but we can still use this now to get about 8.5k logs per hour, and without any TNT duping, just do it automatically. So I know if you were going to do a TNT blast chamber on this, you can push those rates. We've actually cut this down so that it's only a maximum of 6 high instead of being able to reach that 7. So we're already cutting out some rates right there. But if you just don't have access to TNT duping and you don't want to actually make a bunch of TNT, then this is still a good option. I mean, I would still say 8,500 per hour is still real nice for the build size of this. But we have the trick that the logs are coming out in this shape in a 1x6, and we still want to turn it into this 2x3. That's what this system does. I'm actually going to go ahead and hide the boss bars right there, but that's what this system does. So it's a series of double piston extenders that'll push it down, and so that it'll turn that into a 2x3 stream. So just like before, we have either the bot or the player that's continuously placing the saplings, and then it gets pushed in, and let me go to the other side so we can actually see this happening. We can see it gets double piston pushed down. And then it gets pushed over, where the blast chamber takes care of it for us. I did have to make another modification, so we did actually need to slow the machine down a little bit as well, so we added a little bit more delay in this process because, again, like I said, if we send in blocks too fast, all that's going to happen is the wither is going to get blocked from getting hit with a snowball, and then this chamber is just going to stop up. And that's pretty much it. So again, in the world download, you'll spawn right here next to all these different machines. So you've got this one here. You've got the other 4 designs up there to the north, where you can come and grab your schematics or test out building for yourself, see how it's built. And I'll catch you later. Have a good one. Bye.